In this video, we are going to see what is EBS volume, Amazon Elastic Block Storage Volume, and how to create a new volume using the Amazon console and attach the same to the any running or stopped instance. And after we attach, how to create a file system and mount it. That's on section 1. On section 2, we will see the different kinds of backup methods available in Amazon console. The one is actually Amazon image backup. We'll see how to create and restore, and another option is create a volume snapshot, EBS volume snapshot. We will see how to create and restore the snapshot too. So let's go to the console now, and this is my console. I already logged in. So if you look at my console under EC2, today I have two instances running, server 1 and server 2. So let me first, before I actually, these two instances are kind of identical, and if you look at this, both are running on US East 1B, and with the default 8 GB operating system disk running with Amazon Linux. That's operating system. I'm going to connect to one of this instance now. Go here and go to my terminal. I'm using Mac, so the PEM file that's fine to connect. So now I connected into my instance. So I want to be a root user. After I become a root user, just running a command lsblk. So this is a command will list you the available disks mapped to this operating system. So I do see only one disk, which is XVDA. Out of it, one partition, the default one partition is created. These are all default. I didn't do anything at the time of instance creation. All this happened, and this is by default mounted on top of the file system slash. This is root. So part of this demo, I'm going to create a new volume. Let's say let's take in a scenario. My application need like 2 GB file system called slash app. So how do I do that? So that's what the scenario. So to create a 2 GB, go back to your console, and so look at here. Here you see the category. You see the elastic block storage listed here. Within this, we have two volumes. Click on volume, create volume. So let's talk few things here. When you do create volume, under the types, there are three types: general purpose, provisioned IOPS, and magnetic. So what is the difference is, general purpose is kind of moderate speed. What it means is, if I choose general purpose, there is a baseline written here, 3 IOPS per GB. What I mean, if I choose 1 GB hard disk, so Amazon will commit you the disk performance of 3 IOPS per 1 gigabit. So every second you can do one input and one read and write operations per second. That's the high level commitment, or that's the performance of that disk. Okay, so this is also SSD, but that's how that's kind of the tier you are getting the storage. The performance tier you are getting the storage is which can support up to 3 IOPS per GB. So in our scenario, we need 2 GB, right? If we pick 2, so if you look at, automatically this changed to 6 IOPS, 6 input output per second. Okay, so this is the committed one. So what is provisioned IOPS? Let's say, hey, I want 2 GB disk. At the same time, my application need at least 100 IOPS, not 6 IOPS. In that scenario, I can go for provisioned IOPS, where we can say whatever the IOPS or requirement. Let's say I want 100 IOPS, size is 2 GB, or my disk size is 20 GB, 200 GB, whatever. So the disk size can go for a provisioned IOPS. The minimum is 4 GB and maximum is close to 16 terabyte. Okay, so this is for provision. For a general purpose, you can start from 1 GB and go up to 16 terabyte. So that's the only difference. In a general purpose, we just pick the size of the disk. The baseline performance is kind of already defined. Every GB you'll get maximum of 3 IOPS. That's general purpose. If your application is not really IO bound application, um, you were just worried about the size of the disk, then general purpose is fine. If your application is like, you know very well this application need this much IOPS per second, this needs, it's like a database running on it, or any kind of batch jobs run on those disks. So then I would propose you to pick provisioned IOPS. Of course, there is a cost difference. Provisioned IOPS is costlier than general purpose. Okay, this is the two, and the third one is magnetic, which is kind of a little bit less expensive. So I would prefer general purpose, and let's go 2 GB. Okay, so 6 IOPS, and this is very important. When you create a volume, you need to ensure which availability zone you wanted to create the volume. The reason is um, um, if you create a volume on, let's say, US East 1E, and your instance is on different availability zone, A or B, then the volume cannot be attached. The volume and the instance where we are going to attach both should be in the same availability zone. Think like this: your storage and the server should be in the same data center. So that's the idea, right? We don't want to keep the storage in one location and data center in, I mean, server in another data center. So if you keep it in the same building, same data center, the performance will be better. So that's the idea. So when I launched an instance, I think I launched at B. So I'm trying to create a volume at the location B. So if you wanted to encrypt the volume, you can enable it. So at present, I don't want to encrypt. When you encrypt, so the snapshots, volumes that are encrypted from the encrypted snapshots are automatically encrypted. Basically, what is the meaning of encryption is when you encrypt the volume, uh, you need a key. You need a key to decrypt the volume and attach the volume into the instance. That's the meaning. I cannot take the volume and attach it into any other instance. So today I encrypt the volume and attach it to one of the instance. Then that instance should have the key to decrypt the volume and access the data. That's more secure. So let's not go into this encryption now. Let's have a default general purpose 2 GB volume. So let me name this. This is for app 2 GB disk. Okay, so this is a volume I created in US East 1B. Let me quickly double check where is my, okay, my both the servers are in 1B, so I can attach. So go back to volume, and I wanted to attach this volume. So this is important. When you create a volume, it was in a pending state. Now it is an available state. This is another important thing to note. If it says available, it means the volume is there. It is not being used by any instance, and you can attach it into any instance. If it is in use, it means it is actively attached to any other instance. That's the meaning. Okay, so it is available. It means I can attach to anywhere. So attach a volume and just click on instance. This will pull you all the running instance and stopped instance at your availability zone. So in my availability zone, there are 5 instances. So I'm gonna pick server 1, which is running, and so attach this as a default. Whatever the device ID you see here, just attach, because this area, this is very important when you attach the volume as a boot disk. Remember, when you attach any disk as a boot disk, then this has to be SDA1 or XVDA. So this is mandatory. If this is not an OS disk, it's like a secondary disk kind of application file system or anything. You can leave it for a default whatever the device ID came up. Another important thing is, let me attach one more time. Action, attach, go to the running instance. So SDF. So, and another important thing, this device ID always not same when you scan the disk inside the operating system. This is the one you see it at the console end. Probably inside the operating system you may see the different device ID. It could be /dev xvdf or something. The kernel may change it, so don't worry about that. So just say attach. Now now see the available status has been changed to in use. It means it's being attached to some server. So go to the instance now and click on my server, and you can see at the bottom of the description there is one boot disk and the second disk is added. Okay, how do I check? Go back to my server SSH connection, and this is the previous lsblk command. It came out with one disk. Let me run one more time. Now I do see additional disk xvdf. Remember, in the console it was sdf, but inside the operating system this shows as xvdf. That's a change. So that's fine. So this is 2 GB disk. So EBS, what is EBS volume? This is the block storage. It is exactly like the traditional SAN lens. How do we get in a data center? That's the same way. So what it mean? It's like a raw disk. When once it is attached to the operating system, uh, we will have to format it. I mean, we will have to create a file system and then mount it. If you want, you can put it inside the volume manager. That's the same. It works exactly the same way how we get the SAN LAN and attach, or the internal disk within a server. If you have multiple disks, if you wanted to use one disk, how do we use that? The same way. And you can create a RAID. You can create a RAID between couple of EBS volume. All you can do, all the native operating system commands, everything works perfectly fine um, with this disk type. Okay, so purpose is I wanted to create a file system /app and mount it. So let me quickly create a file system. So mkfs.ext4/xvdf. So I created the file system mkdir/app, created empty directory, mount /dev mount ext4/dev xvdf on top of app. Now the file system is mounted. So that's it. If I do df-, yeah, so there's a df-h output. You can see the /app file system is mounted. Okay, let me create some data on it. /app touch abc. Just created few files, few empty files. All the files are exist. Okay, so why did I create it is I wanted to show you how to create a backup of this disk and restore it. That's the idea. I created some files. So now so server 1, in server 1 I have a 2 GB disk. I created file system, I mounted, I created some sample files. I wanted to server 2 uh, also need the 2 GB disk. So now we know how to create a new disk and attach, but it want exactly the same disk from server 1 along with the data. So how do I achieve it? So creating the new disk, just now we saw, it's so simple, but it will be a empty disk. You need to create a file system and mount it, but I want the data along with that. What do I do? So go click on this SDF, click on volume, and simply you can create a snapshot, which is nothing but a backup. You can say 2 GB app snapshot, okay, and then create the snapshot. Now volume snapshot is created. Where can I see? Here under a snapshot. So this is still in the pending state. So what a snapshot is, um, this is one of the Amazon beautiful backup solution. It is like a traditional data center. We take as block level backup, right, at the storage level snapshot, which is exactly this is happening. So the good thing is this takes the backup and store it in S3 bucket, and S3 is highly available and durable, one of the durable service in Amazon, right? So you can rely on it. It is 99 point so many nines high availability solution. So what it means, whenever you take a snapshot, your backup is kept in a high available uh, storage, so you don't have to worry about it. So let's say in our data center, if we take a backup, the backup will be kept in the same data center, right? So many people, they do offsite backup, or they will move the data to the different data center. So here that offsite is being taken care, we don't have to worry. Although I am in US East, that is not Virginia location, when I take the snapshot, this is being taken care, so you don't have to bother. um, so now the 2 GB snapshot is ready, and one more thing, this backup will be compressed and stored at S3 bucket. That's another beauty of this one. So now can I use the snapshot to my second disk? No, snapshot is a compressed version, you cannot directly attach to any instance. If you wanted to restore the snapshot, you need to create a new volume out of the snapshot. Okay, create a new volume. Okay, so when you create a snapshot, um, the snapshot is stored in S3 bucket, and from the snapshot, when you create a volume, you have option to choose the location. You look at here, there are 4 availability zone. So let's say, hey, I have a server, source server is in B availability zone. From there I took the snapshot, but my destination server where I wanted to restore is in E or D or some other availability zone. This is a time you can simply create a snapshot. From the snapshot, when you create a volume, you can choose any other location, and basically you are copying the data from one data center to another data center, right? So that's cool. And but you cannot create across the region. You can create across the availability zone but not across the region. But there is a way to move the data across the region, we'll see later. But this is just across the availability zone. So today my server is in B, so I don't have to worry, and just create. So when you create, just ensure to note down the volume ID. I created the new volume from my backup, which ends with 283. Okay, go click on volume, look at here, 283. Okay, it's pretty fast because I don't have much data, right? So 283. So make this one app 2 GB from snap. I created this volume from snapshot. So what I did, this is my source volume, and it is attached in one of the server, and data exists from here. I created a snapshot. By using the snapshot, I created one more volume, which is a new volume. So this volume I'm going to simply attach to the another server. So source original server is server 1, I'm attaching to server 2. Attach to server 2, leave it the disk number, whatever device name, and say attach. Now the second volume is attached. So it changed to in use. So just refresh this, it should be, yeah. So always refresh, instead of refreshing the browser, refresh here. This refresh only the console, because sometimes our browser will have a default refresh time. So if you don't refresh this, this button will simply say keep running, but your browser may refresh every 20 minutes or 5 minutes, but technically backend things will be done, might have done. So please refresh here. This will give you the latest uh, output of the console. Okay, this is the console refresh. Okay, so now thing is attached. Now I wanted to go and connect to my instance 2. Okay, what is my instance? Server 2. So go connect. So this is my ID. Okay, go. Let me open one more terminal. Okay, this is. Let me, or I'll disconnect this one. Let me disconnect this one and connect to the second server. This is my second server, end with IP 218. You can see here. So now, okay. So this is XVDA is my original disk and XVDF is my second disk. If I look at df-h, it is not being mounted, not in use, because I just attached from the backup. So you don't have to create a file system and mount. You can simply mount because the data exists. We created the volume from the backup snapshot, so we don't want to create a file system. We don't want to format the disk. If you do that, the data you will lose the data. So simply create one directory called app and mount xvdf on top of app. So your file system is mounted. So let's verify the data. Remember, we created 4 files in the server A. That 4 files exist in server B, second server also. So this is how you can you can create a volume, and you can create a snapshot, and you can restore the snapshot by creating the new volume and use it between the servers. So easy, right? And one another thing I would like to talk here is, hey, I have a snapshot, but I wanted to use the snapshot to the server which is in another region, not in North Virginia, maybe in California or somewhere. How do I do that? So already you know the snapshot you can use and create a volume and choose any availability zone. So within North Virginia, if you have A, B, C, D, 4 regions, so I mean 4 availability zones, you can move that. You can create a volume anywhere. But 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 within the region, how do I move? So choose your snapshot and simply say copy the snapshot. So first you have to move the snapshot from one region to another region. So from North Virginia is the source, and uh, copy to, let's say I wanted to copy to um, let's say Singapore, Asia Pacific, and then just say copy. So uh, this snapshot will be moved from here to Singapore. So now you have a data at Singapore. You go there and create a new volume and attach to any instance across any availability zone. So let's go and see what's there. I don't have any instance at Singapore. But at least uh, let's verify the snapshot information over there. It's across the WAN, right? It may take some time. Let's verify. See, it's coming on. See, we are moving the data. We are copying the data from US to Singapore region. So it copying across the wide area network. It may take a few minutes, um, of course, because it's a WAN. So once this is completed, you can choose this and go to action and create a volume and attach it into any other instance. So this is very simple. Okay, so that's it. So pretty much we covered everything about EBS volumes and snapshot. So this is in fact this is one of the type of backup. If you wanted to back up your data, you can pick specific volume and take a backup, create a snapshot. There are AWS CLI command line tools are there. If you use the tool, you can even automate the backup. Hey, every night take a backup of your snapshot and keep last 2 days backup and delete rest of all. So that kind of backup solution we can create ourselves. In next video, I will post you the script how to install AWS CLI, and then how to create a backup using simple script. I'll post you in the next video. So before we close this, we will talk about this image backup also, which is AMI backup. uh, what is AMI backup is, if you have an instance, let's say uh, we have two disks here. Now we know how to click on the disk and take the snapshot, but how do we take the backup of entire server? I don't want to go individually and take the disk. I wanted to take the entire server backup. That's what called AMI backup, image backup, which is nothing but Amazon Machine Image. So when you launch an instance, you launch from Amazon Machine Image. That's the default image Amazon provides you. You use that image and launch, right? Now, after you launch an instance, you create a file system, you install the application, so it is customized completely. Now from here you can create your own image. That's your data, your image. So how do I do? Go here, action, image, create image, and just give the name of your server, server 01 image backup, and just give some description. And here very important thing is no reboot. By default, when you create an AMI backup, that is image backup, the instance will go to reboot for a minute, and then the image backup will be completed. I mean, it won't complete, it will just trigger a backup and then it start the instance. Let me repeat again. The moment you click create image, by default your instance will be stopped for a minute, and the image process will be initiated, and then the instance will be started, and backend the image copying, image creation will go on. So but your instance will come back pretty quick. So let's say, hey, this is my production server. I don't want to reboot my instance at any point of time. So then simply click on no reboot. Okay, so why the reboot is recommended is we are taking a complete image instance backup. um, let's say if you stop and start, there won't be any data change, and your backup will be intact. If you are running any SQL database or anything, lots of transaction going on, right, reads and writes, so your data integrity will be maintained properly. That's the objective of stopping and then uh, triggering the image backup and then starting it back. Okay, if you think, hey, I don't really bother, let it reboot, mine is less critical application, just leave it as it is. So this is very important. So don't just go and trigger on your environment. Double check, uh, ensure you are choosing the appropriate uh, boot, reboot or no reboot option, just to avoid any outages of your instance. And okay, in the image, look at here, by default it picked my root disk as well as my additional 2 GB disk. So it's image, right? It has to take everything. Even in the image, if you think, hey, I have 4 different disks, I don't want this disk, assume I can simply delete it, or you can add also. So that's possible. Okay, so you can skip or you can include everything. So and then simply create a image. So image request is created. So it is exactly like a volume snapshot. When you do image backup, image also at the back end, it's going to create snapshots only. It's going to create, see, look at here, I chose one disk, right? It is creating a snapshot of volume. But the good thing with the image is it preserves some of the information. If you simply launch, it will launch at the same region and everything, or you can customize when you launch, and once the image process is completed, you can launch an instance. That's the way to restore. And during the launch process, today I am in T2, I'm in T2 micro type, and in US East 1B. All these parameters you can change at the time of launch. You can change everything. Let me show you. Let me see whether my backup is completed. It is still on pending state. So let me put like web server, sorry, server 01 AMI, okay, and then so it may take some time, couple of. So if I don't, yeah, um, I chose only one disk, so it should be fast because that's OS disk, right? Close to 8 GB. It's again volume snapshot. Um, we have close to 3 GB. So once this image is from pending to completed, what I would say, go here, action, go launch, and the moment you launch, it is exactly like the regular instance. When you launch, you get this, right? Same thing. You cannot change the, of course, OS type, but you can change, other things. For example, um, the network and VPC you can change, subnet you can change, some of these parameters you can change, or you can do. We'll see. Let me see whether my AMI is completed. If it is completed, I can give you better walkthrough. So it's still going on. So when do I need to take AMI backup? When do I need to take volume snapshot? It depends. Some people, they prefer to take AMI so that they don't have to worry about each and every individual volumes, because the AMI covers everything, just everything in your instance. Some prefer this, and some, hey, why do we need to take OS disk and those see, because there is a chance in one of the instance we may have 500 GB disk, out of which only one disk and one file system may carry the production data. Rest of all kind of your backup data, or some of the dumps or something. uh, why do we need to create everything as a backup? So the more you create a backup, of course Amazon is going to charge you based on the snapshot size. So to avoid that, we can, people prefer, and they go and click only specific volume and take that backup. uh, so that's the call you need to take. Or do you really need the entire backup, or you really need what you need exactly? So uh, that you can choose whatever you want. But anyhow, so now my AMI backup is completed. Now I wanted to restore by using how do I we saw how to take a volume and snapshot and restore. That's we saw. Now we are seeing how do we restore the AMI. Simple, just say launch, and if you say simply review and launch, what is going to do is it's exactly the previous. When you took the image backup, your original server is T2 micro, and the instant storage, instant security group, uh, yeah, all will just come as it is. Or hey, I wanted to go launch, and and I wanted to go change my type of the instance to bigger one, and then I wanted to choose the different VPC subnet availability zone. Today my server is in B. I wanted to launch it in D, and I wanted to add more storage at the time of launch. All these changes you can do, in this one. So simply you can go here and then say launch, and choose your key pair, and then say launch, and you launch. If you look at the new server, which is web server 3, oh my god, I don't want to launch T2 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 large. Anyhow, I'll stop it. Uh, so idea is, using an AMI, you can upgrade your instance or downgrade your instance. That's so good, right? Using your volume you cannot do, but using your AMI you can upgrade your instance from one type to another type. So I'm not stopped. My original instance is running. It is still working. At the same time, I'm upgrading my instance by using the AMI. After I upgrade, and I can validate all my data. Once everything looks good in the new, then then I can terminate my old. That's so simple way to upgrade or downgrade your instance, right, without impacting your existing one. So that's a cool one, right? So that's option. Anyhow, I terminated my T2 large because I don't want to pay for this demo. So that's it. So this is a way to launch an AMI, create an AMI, and launch an instance using an AMI. Okay. In this, there is one more quick thing I would like to talk. So if your instance is in a stopped state, you can even go to action and so to upgrade or downgrade, do I need to always take an AMI backup and do upgrade or downgrade? No, not necessary. If you have a outage downtime, then you can simply stop your instance and then go to action and go instance setting, change instance type, and simply choose the bigger type, say apply. That's it. Your new instance, the instance type will be changed from T2 micro to M4 and start the instance. That's it. So that's another way you can, if you have a production outage, you can stop the instance to upgrade or downgrade your instance type, or you can use an AMI backup, and from the backup you can launch a new one, and that's another way. So I would prefer AMI way. The reason is you will have enough time to validate your data, and once everything looks good, then you can terminate your old data, and at the same time you have a backup also. There is no surprises. So hope this video helps you, and next video will cover a little bit more about load balancers and auto scaling, those stuff. And have a great day. Bye bye.